Good evening and good night, everyone. This is update for April 23, 2022, day 59 of the war, end of the date update. For those who are impatient, there are no major breakthrough development on the front line. They're very static, there's active fighting, but there are no major changes or developments today. So if that's you looking for any breakthrough, there's nothing today. We will go through the front lines and discuss some, and also we'll answer some of the questions from the viewers. Specifically, there were questions about why Ukrainian army is not attacking towards Kupiansk, the significance of sinking rocket cruiser Moskva, and then questions about losses of 36 brigade in Mariupol. So there were several questions, and we will answer those towards the end. So let's actually start with Kharkiv stretch of the front line. So yesterday it was kind of suspicious news. We heard that Ukrainian troops tried to attack towards the Russian border, which really that attack doesn't make a lot of sense, but it was confirmed today both by Russian and Ukrainian sources that indeed it happened. And what really happened here, as you can see, there's this road that's coming out of Kharkiv and leads towards the crossing point called, on the Russian side, called Zhuravlivka. So as a result of that attack, so it looks Ukrainian forces captured several villages on this road, and when they actually tried, but those villages, per our understanding, were kind of gray zone, no man's land, so they just essentially captured essentially undefended villages. But then when they tried to attack village of Kozacha Lopan, which is here, they were repelled. From what we see, there is no clear evidence of any significant losses. The attack per Russian sources was a battalion size, which possible or not, we're not sure. But there is no clear evidence for any significant losses, as Russian side claims, because all they could show is 2 dead soldiers for that attack. So that's just here. Then if we go down towards Izyum bridgehead, so there's totally no expansion of bridgehead today. Situation is stable there, and we have updated a little bit the map. We will improve them more. We're in process of updating all of the maps, so again, just be patient. So here we're showing that Russian forces captured village of Zavody here. It was a couple days ago, and then they made small penetration towards to capture village of Dibrovne. So those were as of yesterday, but there are no any other progress today. Now let's look at what's going on with mopping up this Ukrainian bridgehead on the eastern bank of Siverskiy Donets river here. So as you can see, this mopping up stalled. Initially, Russian side made some progress. Just a second. Here, they made some progress, quick progress, but then they were stalled by 128th Brigade at the village of Yampil, Krimki, Novosilka, Stavki, and the key point here is Liman. That's the key town there. So far they're still holding on. So it looks like a initial Russian attack lost its momentum there. Now let's keep going here. We're gonna we look in the situation around the town of Rubizhny, so we just want to share that with you. So essentially, as we mentioned before, northern and central part captured of the town. So Ukrainian side has only small southern part of the town at this point. Now let's keep going. This is a situation in the to the south of Severodonetsk, and we're going to look at the town of Popasna, where there is extremely heavy fighting going on. Based on the new information, Popasna at this point looks like kind of like a peninsula. So basically, it's flanked from two sides. We're not extremely clear how exactly the outflanking is happening. This is just our attempt to sort of understand that if it's possible that Russian troops are kind of like also outflanking here, and it might be going that Ukrainian side is here. But what we do understand in terms of control of the town, this is more or less correct. The line might be plus minus, 200-300 meters in one or another direction, but essentially Russian side is controlling center, we would call it maybe not a center, but the main railroad station and railroad depot, so kind of this part of the town, and there is another railroad station here, so they have two railroad stations. And formally, the center of the town, we believe, is somewhere here. So we can say that the Ukrainian side probably controls about 40% of the town. But really, the importance is that fighting in the town allows to. It's a good defensive position. That's the whole point. It's not critical whether they hold 50-50 or 40-60. As long there is still good defensive position, that's really what matters. The more serves as a stronghold. We have some updates in terms of 1st Army Corps. That consists of the collaborators from the Russian-occupied Donetsk region. So we see seems that we saw there are only 4 brigades. It does look like there are 6 brigades in total. So we identified there is a 1st brigade that we were not aware. So this 4 brigades, we are 100% certain that they are there. We're still a little bit surprised there are 2 more brigades, and we're trying to confirm that through other sources. But it does look like there are 2 more brigades here. Let's keep going south. So we were going to show you where there was dangerous penetration in this area. We created a little bit closer map here between Gulyaypole and Novosilka. We believe it's 19 Division attacking there, but we don't have full confirmation. We know that 19 Division is operating there, but we don't know that it's exactly 19 Division. Possible that there are some other units that we are not aware of. So let's actually, and also we're going to look at the situation in Mariupol after that. So here, this is Ukrainian stronghold, line of Ukrainian strongholds in this area, and Velyka Novosilka is the key one. And somewhere around straight west, right out west of Velyka Novosilka, there is separation line between 53rd Brigade and 109 Ukrainian Militia Brigade. This militia brigade is about 3,400 for those who kind of would like to know the size of this unit. So they are somewhere around 3,000 plus. So this 109 Militia Brigade is a Donetsk region brigade. 110 UA Militia Brigade is from Zaporizhia region. In addition, we know that remnants of 103rd Battalion operating somewhere in this area. We don't know exact location. Also, we believe that 35th Naval Infantry Brigade is operating to the west of Gulyaypole, but again, we don't know exact location where they are. And the sizes of Naval Infantry Brigade about 2.6 thousand people. So, so as you can see, this is the dangerous penetration we mentioned yesterday. So they reached a village of Zelene Pole here. We don't know if they capture it, if they hold at this point, but as you can see, it's creating kind of like, dangerous penetration that potentially could be developed. And given that both of these brigades are militia brigades, which means they don't really have any heavy weapons. And the part of the reason why this penetration actually happened is that the commander of 110 Brigade sent his troops to the front line without even giving them any anti-tank rockets. We all hear about all of the wonderful javelins and NLAWs and everything, but they were giving only old Soviet RPG-26, which is essentially kind of like a kamikaze weapon to stop the tank, and they suffered, significant losses trying to stop Russian advance towards Zelene Pole, to the point that the commander of the 110 Brigade was dismissed. So that's a situation in this area, which is, again, this is not even a major attack at this point. This is really a probing attack from the Russian side. They're trying to create better position for potential future major attack that they're planning. So we're using word potential because there are more and more doubts about the whole ability to do that, and we will probably discuss this whole strategic situation not probably, but we'll definitely discuss this tomorrow to clearly explain our view on what's going on with the Donbass salient. Let's talk now about situation in Mariupol. As we mentioned before, as everybody knows, the core of the defense is Azovstal. However, Russian troops don't control this area. They managed to mop up this area south of Taganrogsky Street here. So, and then we don't know situation here. Probably some of it is controlled by Ukrainian side, some of it is by Russian. Unfortunately, there is very little ability to get any reliable information on the front lines here. We would like to also to add there is no evidence that Russian side is controlling main railroad station here, and we have seen evidence that as of 2 days before that Azov controls railroad station. So it's possible that they may have captured as of today, but so far we have not seen supporting evidence. Since we are on topic of Mariupol and 36 Brigade, it was here, let's discuss the one question that a viewer had about losses of 36 Brigade, and so let's look at that in detail. So Brigade has 36 Brigade had 2,600 service members. Out of that, 1,300 surrendered. And then about 200 tried a breakout attempt, which was poorly organized. And at least 40 soldiers died, 70 were captured. The fate of the remaining is unknown. So that brings us to plus minus 1,500, then another 300 managed to join with Azov regiment at Azovstal. So that's about 1,800. Then dead plus wounded is another 630. So that brings us to 2,430 service members. And so 130 is as we mentioned before, is either in the north near defending the Zaporizhia front line, or also other death, because this number 630 only takes into account deaths during the fighting in Mariupol. So, and this brigade started fighting earlier. They were defending front line to the east and northeast of Mariupol, and it was split into two halves by initial Russian attack. And as we discussed, a small portion, 503rd Battalion, retreated, portion of it retreated towards the west. So that 170 service member is unclear. How many, there are more like losses there. Obviously, some of them, that remnants of 503rd Battalion up in the north. So what we can say is that also those 40 soldiers that died during breakout attempt are not included in 130. So that brings the total for the dead to about 170. So that's hopeful answers questions on the losses of 36 Brigade and where it stands right now. So now let's look at the situation in Mykolaiv and Kherson region. From what we're hearing, it's all positional fighting, shelling, air attacks, sort of traditional things, but no major developments here. There were questions about what this means here, 5/28. This means it's a 5th Battalion of 28th Brigade. This is what we know for sure that was here. We believe there might be more, well, not we're almost certain that there are more battalions from the 28th Brigade here, and probably some of them were participating in the failed attack that we discussed about a week or two ago. So actually now let's, since we discussing this, and let's discuss the sinking of rocket cruiser Moskva and how it's relevant to this situation in Mykolaiv and Kherson. So let's go back. So 28th Brigade was tasked with defending Odessa and mostly against potential sea landing. Since Moskva was destroyed, it simply diminishes chances of the sea landing, or essentially drops them close to zero at this point. The chances were low anyways, because all of the battle-ready troops on the Russian side were already committed elsewhere in Ukraine, so they really didn't have troops to do the sea landing. However, now, even if they will have troops, it will be much more difficult, since there will be a lot fewer support for the sea landing, and that makes it very unlikely in our opinion. So for that reason, we believe that Ukrainian command is using 28th Brigade piecemeal here in Mykolaiv Kherson front line. So basically they take some of the battalions and use them as standalone units to help with either defensive or offensive attacks. So that's a question. That was one of the questions. So let's also answer the question about why Ukrainian troops are not attacking towards here Kupiansk and not cutting off this whole Izyum group. So the problem is that Russian army functions as a system better. And let's qualify that. When there is a need to do straightforward, unambiguous tasks, right? If situation is uncertain, quickly changing, that ability to function as a system quickly goes down to almost zero, and if pushed well enough, turns into panic. So that's one. As a system, Ukrainian army is definitely weaker. And second, when Ukrainian army attempts to attack, what happens is Russian system, it's very well-oiled machine when there's good work of artillery and air support and infantry sort of piece of component of this group. So as soon as there is an attack, there is a strong artillery fire, rocket fire, and helicopter support and ground attack airplane support. So that really makes it essentially impossible for Ukrainian army to advance. Not to mention there are a lot of problems in terms of the quality of mid-level commanders in both armies, actually. But it makes this vulnerability on Ukrainian side makes it, fatal for ability to attack, in our opinion. So, because at least Russian side can rely on technical superiority or artillery and rocket launcher superiority to defend themselves. So for those reasons, this is just kind of like tip of the iceberg, but at the big picture, that's the reason why the attacks are essentially almost impossible. And for that reason, we believe Ukrainian command decided the strategy of, death by thousand cuts, when the small groups are attacking and slowly bleeding Russian units to death. That works when the Russian units cannot stopped or slowly advancing. If they're, advancing in large numbers, that's nearly impossible task. Right now, there's no large group of Russian troops, so it's kind of like creating a balance where the Russia has technical advantage, but then they don't have manpower advantage anymore, as they used to at the beginning of the war. So there's kind of this balance there. Then let's discuss one more question, which was about the new Russian commander who was appointed about 2 weeks ago. His name is Alexander Dvornikov. So he's obviously career military. He started serving during Soviet times. The most important information about him is that he was a regiment commander in the 2nd motorized, mechanized, actually, probably more correct, division, which was this part of Kiev East group here, and that actually failed. That division didn't perform well at all. So he was the commander of the regiment, and he was storming Grozny in 2000. This is when Russia, retook Chechnya under its control. So it was called Second Chechen War. So he was part of that city fighting. He was spearheading his regiment in city fighting. Then he was appointed commander of the 19th Division, Infantry Division. So we see it here in the south. Then he served as a commander of a couple of armies. Then he was commander of, I believe, 2 military districts, which encompasses it's a level up in hierarchy. And then he served in 2015 and 16 in Syria, where his approach was essentially what Russian army is practicing right now: destroy the defenses using heavy artillery and rocket barrage, and use air support, whether it's ground attack airplanes or assault helicopters, and then try to use infantry to mop up. If infantry encounters any small resistance, it stops, and then there is another round of artillery, rocket attacks, air attacks, and this is kind of like, and this cycle repeats until Russian troops capture the position. So that was his approach in Syria, and we clearly see that approach here. So what this tells us, this is not some kind of like a daring commander, who is ready to do daring and interesting military attacks. This is just kind of like a slow bulldozer that slowly grinds the target in front of him to the rubble. That's kind of his approach in a nutshell. This is, in our opinion, that's obviously not what is required right now in Ukraine for the Russian side. Let's put it this way. The only positive out of this is that right now Russian command is concentrated in one hand, and it means that it's going to be coordinated, or at least that's how it should be. Whether it's going to be executed that way, it's not clear. But before, as we all know, before Russian, at the beginning of the war, Russian advances were extremely poorly coordinated between themselves, and was part of the failure as well. So this change, this is some organizational improvement, but we believe that this is the wrong person for the job that needs to be done from the Russian side. So that's it for today. Thanks for listening. Until tomorrow. Bye-bye.